Sleeves TV. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Hey everybody, I'm here to talk about the latest episode of Queen Sugar. So let's just get right into it. If you watched my last video, hopefully you did. If you didn't, you need to go back and watch it, okay? You need to subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video. So anyway, in this episode, I knew it, y'all. Charlie got her face ate all the way up. I knew it. When she went to go see Melina and talk to her, and she was all condescending and talking down to her. See, I knew something was up because listen, that woman didn't want any money from them at first. She just wanted to go to court and get justice. Now, anytime somebody just turned down that money, like off the top, like that amount of money, there is some truth in what they're saying. Like, you have to really think about that. So, I mean, that was red flags for me. So, they went ahead and got their little $3 million together, and they went to sit down with her because that was part of her agreement. She wanted $3 million and to sit down with Davis. So I knew it was gonna hit the fan, honey. As soon as they came in there and he looked at her, and she looked at him, and he sat down, she read her little statement, and of course it was revealed, y'all. He had been messing with her for 3 years. They were in a kind of a relationship. She said, at least I thought we were friends, because of course they've been sleeping together. And she even had a recording, y'all. A recording of when, like, okay, at first, like, see, I thought I was confused about that at first, but no, I was right. At first, she was going after some of the other players for raping her. She didn't point Davis out until later. But anyway, after he had found out about that, he actually picked up the phone and called her. And she had recorded them talking. And he was like, don't do this to my players. And, don't be like that. It ain't like that. And she was like, they said you paid for me. And he was like, nah, I didn't do that. And he was like, but why you even tripping? Because you were into that gangbang stuff in the beginning. And I was like, oh, really? Because see, here's the story. This is how she said the story went. They met in a hotel. It was supposed to be her and Davis. He ended up having to leave because Micah had some kind of asthma attack. And while she was in the shower, some of the players had come in. And when she came out, some of the other girls didn't show up. So they were like, Davis went ahead and paid for you, to be with us. And it don't matter what you say, girl. We're going to do what we're going to do. And they ended up raping her. And so she was really hurt by it because, she had been dealing with him for years. And that's why she was so hurt about it. And that's why she didn't want to take the money in the beginning. And so Charlie, her face was all ate up. And I was like, see, girl, you don't know. And see, she got mad at Nova also in this episode because when Nova was on the radio station trying to talk about Two Sweet's case, the guys were fooling around, like the radio people, they were fooling around and acting silly, and they brought up the whole situation with Davis and the prostitute and all of that. And Neville was like, why does everybody assume that it was the woman's fault every single time? Like, sometimes the woman is the victim. Like, come on, women get raped. You can't just say, oh, well, it's her fault. She shouldn't have did this and shouldn't have did that. So Charlie got really angry at her, and she, had lightweight got in an argument with her about that. And I'm like, why are you arguing with her? Because at the end of the day, what she said was true. So in that moment, when they were sitting there with Melina, and she told her story, and you could tell she was telling the truth, because did y'all see Davis's face? Okay, his face was all ate up, and Charlie just looked at her and she was like, I'm sorry, like, for real, as a woman, I'm sorry for what you went through. And honey, Charlie got up and she stormed up out of there, and she told Davis, we are done. And he's like, no baby, just let me done. No man, ain't nobody trying to hear that. You up here, you done had this relationship with this woman, and you done set it up for her to get raped. We done gave this woman $2 million. See, the thing is, honey, see, they should have let it go on the court. Yeah, y'all should have went on the court. See, Charlie, you jumping ahead of yourself thinking you know your husband. Okay, you should have sat back and assessed the situation. If this woman didn't want that money, and plus she just wanted to sit down with him, she didn't want no sit down with nobody else. Come on, she got something to say. But she was so condescending to her. It just got on my nerves. But I mean, that's the $3 million mistake Charlie probably won't never make again. Tell me how y'all feel about how Ralph Angel handled himself. Now, like I said in the last episode, I was confused. Like, did he really take that merchandise and sell it? But yeah, he really did. It was revealed in this episode. So he was keeping the stolen merchandise in that shed, at the farm. And see, when they were there, getting ready to work the farm, luckily Aunt Violet picked up on the fact that he was probably hiding something in there, because later on she had to move that stuff out of there. Thank goodness, she's that perceptive. But how y'all feel about how he stood up to old boy at his job? The one that was trying to pressure him into stealing more goods and selling it and doing all of that. When they got into that fight, I was so mad. I was like, oh, y'all just gonna hold him down and just beat him like that? Like, it made me so mad. And then the little manager of the thing, he was like, y'all cut this out or whatever. And when Ralph Angel stepped to him, and he was like, no, I'm gonna need to get laid off because I can't work around him, and I'm not gonna be doing this. But I really appreciated Ralph Angel for making that decision, because he knew if he stayed there, he was gonna keep getting in trouble, keep fighting that man, and the dude was gonna try to pressure him into selling those stolen goods, and that's not something that he wanted to do. It was a one-time thing. He got some money, and that was the flag when he gave Violet all that money. But he didn't want to continue doing that. He was trying to walk on the straight and narrow because he's really focused about this farm. And he had actually told Nova that he wanted to sit down with Charlie and fix his paperwork to where working on the farm was his, 40-hour job that he had to have, his mandatory job that he had to have. And so when he got in that boss man's face and he told him, I'm gonna need you to lay me off. And dude was like, no, I'm firing you. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, when I talk to my PO, I'm gonna have a lot to say, especially about them 32 hours I got paid for when I worked at 40. So I was happy that he stood up for himself and he was smart about how he went about it, because that man ain't finna just fire him and let him be running off and telling his business, because honey, he's making money off of those guys. So he don't want that to be leaked out. Tell me what y'all thought about that monologue Nova gave Davis about how not all black men are the same. It's just like Davis was comparing himself to Too Sweet. And she was like, didn't you fly here on your private jet? Don't you have an attorney? You're not locked up in jail getting beat up. How dare you compare yourself to him? They don't treat us all the same. What did y'all think about that speech? I thought it was very moving. And y'all almost teared up when the cop showed up after Ralph Angel left his job, and they were coming looking for stolen merchandise. And when they went in there and they didn't find it, and Blue had called Aunt Violet, and she got there, and oh my god, it's just something about him. I don't know the actor's name, but the one that plays Ralph Angel, when he stood there next to Violet and he teared up and he was just like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do better. It just, I don't know, maybe it's just a personal thing. I just felt for him. My heart went out to him because he is literally trying his best to get on the straight and narrow, and it's so hard for him because he's so prone to going off and doing dumb stuff. But his daddy ain't there no more, for him to fall on. Nobody's there for him to fall on other than his Aunt Violet, really, because she's the one that's really looking out for him. And you can see it in her face. She's just like, please get it together. You have got to make better choices. They didn't really have the whole conversation, but just the fact that him saying, I'm sorry, that was enough. She already knew what it was. She was like, they ain't gonna find it either. So she looked out for him, and I just really appreciated that moment between them. And one last thing before I go, just about Charlie and Melina. Did y'all hear on that recording when Davis was talking? He was like, I come to you because you do the things my wife won't do. Y'all, oh, it just made my flesh crawl. I was just looking at him like, you disgusting little something, 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 you. Oh, I hope Charlie really leave him alone. She needs to be fooling with Remy anyway, because y'all see how they be looking at each other. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, y'all, that's basically everything that happened in this episode. If I left anything out, please leave it in the comments below and we'll keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.